Okay, Mike Masato, CEO of Staff Driven Dental and the Dental Road Warrior, returning for episode 58 in the series. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy 2019 for all those you watching and following me out there. So today I want to kick off the year with talking about coaching and consulting and why you don't maintain consistent results from your coaching and training. This is for those of you watching this that have maybe gone through some consulting or coaching program of some sort, and maybe it worked initially and maybe we had some good results, but all of a sudden we seem to be going backwards and not maintaining our results from our coaching and training. And there's a phenomenon about that. It's human nature that we have a tendency to kind of fall back into bad habits and get off track if we're not putting attention on this. And one of the things I always talk about with coaching is what it takes to really be successful in practice is constant vigilance. And the word vigilance means watchfulness, being overseeing and watching what's going on with the practice, monitoring it at all facets to make sure that we are not going backwards and we're always moving forwards in some level or another in a positive way. Right? And really the thing with coaching and training is you just can't do it one time, do it for a short period of time. So that was great. I'm done with my training and coaching. Look, it's a constant process. It's kind of like health and fitness. You don't say, well, you know what? I got myself in shape. It took me 3 years to get myself in shape in the gym. Now I can stop going. Yeah, you're gonna go backwards. You got to maintain yourself. You got to keep it as part of your life. So you got to make training and coaching part of your life, and you got to make sure you create a practice culture where it doesn't fall out, it doesn't fall through the cracks, it doesn't disappear and go away. This is important to put attention on all the time, as much as treating your patients and making sure your patients are treated well. Very important. Right? You invested a lot of time and money in this. Why you have it go backwards? Why lose all the results that we have achieved? All right. So here's some of the reasons I came up with why things don't tend to stick and go backwards. And if you can kind of look at these things and go back and say, okay, that happened to me, you can go back and kind of reverse the change of these things and get back on track from what we were doing before. Okay? So here's a few of them. Lack of attention to statistics. One of the big things is putting in numbers and tracking statistics. I'm very big on that. All right, and what happens is you stop tracking numbers. But those statistics are vitally important to look at monitors in the practice and to see how we're doing. And we need to continue to look at the numbers and not get away from looking at numbers and tracking statistics in all areas of your practice. So very important to do. Not looking forward, lack of planning. It's 2019 already. I doubt many of you watching this even have a plan set up yet for 2019, and we're already into it. What's the goal? What's the vision? Where are we headed in this practice for 2019? I think I talked about goals, I think, in the last episode. All right? You need to have a plan, an action plan, a business plan in terms of where we're going with the whole team, in 2019. And not just financially, overall. And so you always want to be looking forward, always planning, looking to the future, looking ahead. We have a tendency to get overwhelmed and just overly preoccupied with what's going on right at the minute. It's a neurotic aspect of looking at your practice rather than looking at the big picture down the road and in the future. You always want to be looking ahead, always planning toward the future for the practice. Changes in staff, changes happen that you weren't planning on or predicting potentially, or you were, and it didn't kind of work out the way you thought it would, for better or for worse. We've had to fire people, we had to hire new people, we integrated new people, and this can change the whole dynamic of your practice. It changes the whole entire culture of the practice sometimes. And look, some people have gone through the training, some people have not gone through the training, and or we had a whole bunch of people that went through our program, and then now they're not here anymore for whatever reason in life, right? And that can set you off because, again, training and development should be a cultural thing that doesn't just disappear when personnel change. It should be part of everything, whether we're bringing in new people, or we have the existing people there, and maintaining it as we go along. We want to create a culture that has that involved. So again, but these things, when these changes can set us back in our results in our training, which is why you always want to keep that in and get the new people up to speed. Lack of new ideas, no creative outlet. Part of having a coach is someone to bounce ideas off on, talk to about, strategize with, plan with. That's why we're here when we're with our clients, is to constantly keep them on track and having an outlet for them to be creative and come up with new ideas and new strategies going forward all the time, and really challenging our clients to have these implement some new ideas and some changes going forward. Doctors' leadership ability. One of these main reasons why things drop out is you being a leader, insisting that training and development stays in, that this is an important facet of practice that we cannot do without, and we don't want it to drop out. So that's a big area, and it's being a leader and being a stand for having the organization and the people in the organization have training and get the best out of them and making them the best personnel you can possibly have. And that includes yourself, docs, to continue to get better as a manager and a leader and an executive in your own practice. All right? Some of us are naturals at this, others are not. All right? And this is why coaching is very helpful. Failure or inability to review changes that were implemented. Sometimes we make these changes and you can't look at these things one or two times. You have to constantly go over this stuff. That's why I always recommend, that once you have training, go back and put it in as part of your ongoing like staff meetings or you put in training days in the schedule. So you know what, we're never dropping out training. We're always looking at different aspects of the practice and always keeping training in place as part of our practice. Right, and that's also part of it. All right, keep that in. Lack of enthusiasm and failure to keep playing the game. Now, the lack of enthusiasm, morale, and enthusiasm. There's always got to be a game to play. So you always have to be putting a game in place in the practice and play this and have a game in the practice in place to play. So you always got to be constantly creating the new game. We had a game, like say you did consulting for a year, we had a great game we were playing, we're getting bonuses, we're all motivated and enthusiastic, and now we didn't create another game. So if there's no more game to play, all right, people lose motivation and enthusiasm to show up and do it and continue on the way they used to be. All right, so that's always important to keep the enthusiasm high and the game being played. Lack of accountability. When you drop out coaching, and consulting, you don't have your coach there and consult someone looking over your shoulder. The accountability factor is huge. Who holds you accountable, doc? That's the thing. If you don't do something, you don't follow through, you're not on top of things, who's there to make sure you keeps you on track? And if you don't have a coach, someone there, there's no one really holding you. You have to hold yourself accountable. And some of us are good at holding ourselves accountable. We'll push ourselves and hold ourselves accountable to a certain standard. And a lot of us are not. And that's why coaching is there, to make sure you have someone accountable to, someone you have to answer to about, hey, what's going on with the numbers? Hey, what's going on with the practice, the team? What's going on with your new patients here? All right. Inability to adapt to changes. Sometimes change is not always an easy thing to do when you make changes. And we make these changes, and we get some pushback or some resistance and some challenges, and then we say, oh, let's just go back to our old ways. That was a comfortable way of doing it. Let's just go back to our old ways, which is a trap, which you never want to get into. And so you got to push forward and persevere there. So and then sometimes we get challenged, we get doubts in our head, and doubts is a bad place to be in doubt. And that's where coaches are there to help you get out of doubt and know that you're making the right decisions by forging ahead and making changes. All right, and that's why we don't want to go backwards. We always want to be going forwards. We want to be out of that comfort zone. And I know it's comfortable to go back to what it was before, but just because that was comfortable doesn't mean profitable, doesn't mean successful, doesn't mean fulfilling in any way. All right, so it may be comfortable on one aspect of things, maybe making it easier on you in some way because you're not dealing with so much resistance from time to time. Hey, but with change comes some resistance. You got to forge ahead and push through that kind of thing. So you have to be able to adapt to these changes and stick with them. And then another point, the last one I want to bring up for this video, is no ongoing coaching support system in place to keep accountability and improvement and change to continuing to happen. I think I just alluded to this, but there needs to be some kind of ongoing coaching support system. And you may not need as much intensive coaching as you once did in the beginning. All right, but it's good to have someone in your life always being there for you. And being the eye in the sky, like looking over your shoulder and making sure everything stays on track. It's vitally important this day and age, to have that kind of person in your life. It makes a huge difference. And I can tell you, all the most successful people that I've ever worked with understand the value of coaching, and they have a budget for coaching, and they invest in coaching and development to get better. Because when you invest in people, it makes a huge difference, especially you and your team. All right. So again, just some insights on coaching, and if you've ever gone through coaching before, including my own program, these are some things to look at and analyze to see how we could get back on track and have 2019 be an awesome year. All right, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll be back with another episode before you know it. And by the way, if you're liking these, make sure you do share them with others whenever you can. Thanks.